Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today recapping our Monday night game against the Washington Redskins. There's some stuff I don't like. I'm not trying to spend all night. We're going to get right to it. Let's start with the offensive side. We're going to do grades this week. Overall, on offense, grade-wise, I would give us a C+, being generous, to be honest. But I would give us a C+. The couple things that's big for me is, number one, I don't understand what our identity is in the run game. I really don't. And I've had an issue with it before, and it's really rearing its head, I think. I mean, a lot of people talk about the run to pass ratio. Again, that's going to be dependent on the game context. But even when we run the ball, you start to realize we aren't good at it. And that's a problem. And so I don't think it's a case of abandoning the run. We need to adjust our run style. And some people might be very resistant to that as far as the coaching staff in the middle of the season. But it's still early, and it's a needed change. I've said this time and time again. Cody Whitehair, agility guy. James Daniel calling card is agility. Kyle Long, for as big and as tough as he was in his prime, he started out in Oregon as an agility zone guy. And Charles Leno has some agility to him as well. And our right tackle situation is just whatever. That doesn't matter that much. I think we need to move to more of a zone team, like heavy zone, not just a little bit of inside zone. I'm talking about like the Minnesota Vikings, you know, those Kubiak Denver days, those Mike Shanahan Denver days. I think we need to look at moving to an outside zone, or at least a heavier inside zone presence, kind of like you see the Rams did with Todd Gurley. And we got the backs that, I mean, really any back could be good at zone if you have the vision, but I think we have the backs with the skill set that's going to be a lot easier for us to then come off the play actions and, you know, really get a team moving, because that's the thing in football. When you don't have a line that can move people, up the field physically, then you switch to a scheme where you move them horizontally with zone movement, and then you test their discipline, and then you, as a running back, make the right decision and make them pay, like Todd Gurley's been good at. So that's what I would like to see. Outside of that, like, our identity is still pretty much the same. I charted it's almost identical to last week, but I expect that. As I said again, when you got a guy like Trey Burton, who is a very multi-use tight end, very athletic, you can leave him on the field a lot. When you got Tariq Cohen that you like to line up in different spots, then you're going to have a lot of 21 personnel when it's Cohen and Montgomery and Burton, or it's just going to be Burton and one of the backs. So, for me, I feel like that's just kind of who we are, which I like because we can be multiple, like I said. And there was a couple series where you saw we just were able to go with tempo because we can run so many formations with that, personnel. So if we come out, Gabriel, Robinson, Miller, Burton, and Tariq Cohen, or Burton and Dave Montgomery, we can run a lot of stuff out of that, including empty. And so I would like to see us do that more because we don't have to switch a lot of people out. So I don't see why we shouldn't go fast at some other points. But identity-wise, like I said, we've been good. And then the other thing that kind of stood out was the right tackle, Lucas, that stepped in for Massey. He was way better than he had any right of being. You have their big-time pass rusher, Ryan Kerrigan, who played most of his snaps on that side. And he wasn't like a perfect tackle, but he was every bit of good, if not a little better than Bobby Massey is. So for a guy that really didn't show much in the preseason, I was impressed by his ability in the passing game. You can tell he's not the most athletic, so maybe he can't do some of those things in the run game. But he's long and he's a big body, so it's nice to see that he played well. Mitch Trubisky, man. Oh, Lord. I just, what else can we say? He does not have it together. I'm going to say this. This is what I said back when Mitch first started, and people kind of, rallied against me about it. It looks like his wheels are always spinning too fast. I've said that, and I thought that this year he would grow out of that, especially with, this being the second year with essentially the same offense. But you can still see it. And it's nothing against Mitch. I don't know him personally, but I've always said from the beginning, he seems like a guy that does everything just because that's what a quarterback is supposed to do. And it never seems natural. He doesn't seem like a natural leader. He doesn't seem like the things he does is natural. It's like, kind of like those guys that are first in the gym just because it's a cliche. And then there's guys that's first in the gym, last to leave because that's how they really are. And for as much trouble as Baker Mayfield's going through right now, I always felt like he's authentic. That's who Baker is, and I like that about him. Mitch never felt authentic. He feels like he's trying to live up to the image and pressure that being the pick that he was created. And as a result of the defense being as good as it is, he plays it safe. He plays not to lose. And when you saw the one spectacular throw and catch, it was when he was just really last effort trying to get rid of the ball. And I honestly don't think he was even trying to go for that big play. I think he was just trying to put it somewhere safe. And Gabriel made a crazy play. So that's just, I think we have all the weapons. Like, I hear some people say our receivers suck, which is crazy. I think we have an amazing complement of receivers. Just like Scary Terry on the Redskins is showing. Those smaller receivers are in their heyday. AB, guys like that. And so route runners with speed and ability at the catch. Allen Robinson with 50-50 ball potential. You talking about Trey Burton again with his like we have the weapons. O-line isn't perfect, but again, I think we can do things that we want to do, especially that Nagy wants to do. Trubisky is just not putting it together. His accuracy is getting worse, and his decision making is very risk adverse. So we'll see going forward again. We're not going to be the team that can march down the field every time we need to. We are going to be the team, and most good teams are this way. People don't realize it, that you capitalize when you get a short field. A lot of these high-scoring teams are teams that just get put in good positions and they capitalize every time with points. And that's what we're going to have to be. We're going to have to lean on the defense and then capitalize when we get good field position. And that's what you saw tonight. That's all it really was. We had one drive, like a real drive, and that ended with Mitch throwing an interception. So, and that was just terrible accuracy. So that's just what we are right now. There's no quarterback that I want to switch to on our roster. So we just got to ride it out and, hope for the best. So, all right. So as far as defense, that was such an up and down thing. But overall, I'm going to give them a B. Look, I get it. We got the turnovers and all that. And I get how people feel about me. I'm not a perfectionist, but I'm always pushing for 100% because I know what it takes to win the Super Bowl. There's things we do very well. There's still things that concern me. And we were in nickel most of the time. We were barely in base. So if you were worried about formations, that was the same. But the things that worry me, number one, our interior run defense. I think I was worried about how Clint Dixon the run fit. But honestly, with a 3-4, you're set up to be secure on the edge with those edge rushers. And I think we do a good job setting the edge, and we flow with fast linebackers. So whenever they try to do perimeter stuff, it's not really effective against us. But up the middle, and again, we start pushing past them score-wise, so they had to pass more. But if you get a team like Dallas, that's what I'm worried about. Because up the interior, we were, and look, I get Eddie Goldman has talent. There's good things, definitely Akeem Hicks, but we are such a 2-gap 3-4 defense. And the thing is, you play nickel most of the time. And so it's going to look like a 4-man front, but you're using 3-4 personnel. And what that means is that you have guys that are not used to getting off blocks. You have guys that are used to just holding up blocks and holding up gap space. And so we are fast at linebacker, but we don't get off blocks well, and we never have. I've always said that. And so what happens is that interior of ours, like, is soft. I mean, there's too many 5, 4, 6 yard gains right up the middle. And then the Redskins really abandoned the interior run. And a lot of teams do, but if you get a good team that's going to scheme it up and run wham blocks, and that's really going to come downhill through the interior, it's going to pop. It's going to pop on somebody. And so it's not the biggest threat, but it is one of the chinks in the armor that you kind of look at. Outside of that, I see we did a lot more blitzing, a lot more creative blitzing, and that's very different than Fangio, and I get it. Tonight made sense. Keenum was overwhelmed early, and he was definitely overwhelmed under pressure. And so for certain teams, I'm fine with it, but you can see the risk-reward of blitzing. There was times like where the middle was open, they had like penalties that negated it, but there's times where the middle of the field is wide open when we do that stuff, because it really doesn't matter if those guys are coming or not. When you bring people up to the line of scrimmage, it takes away the position. And football is a game of seconds, milliseconds. And so that extra second that takes you to get from the line back into position, that could be all it needs for somebody to go good night. So you think about the Jets-Browns game, little play action slant to OBJ, players like that, that's gone. That's good night. And with our corners, as good as Kyle Fuller is, when we play with cushion, there's nothing much we can do against slants or, skinny posts. Those things are gone if we got linebackers up on the line faking a blitz or actually blitzing. So that is the risk reward of blitzing. Not only is that middle more open, but then you talk about screens. They were able to hit those on us. So I don't think it's a negative per se. I just want to keep my eye on how much we go into those cute blitzes. Like, there's some stuff where you line up Leonard Floyd and Mack on the same side and have a stunt. Okay. There's some times where you blitz either Roquan or Trevathan, or you delay blitz them. Okay, easy. But I like when you line it up in base front and then blitz from there. That's my personal philosophy. Now, when you give all the funky amoeba-looking defensive looks, especially when you don't blitz a lot, that can be an advantage, because then the offensive line is not used to all game, calling switches and picking up stuff. So that can get you in a crucial third down or something. But I just don't want us to be into that too much. So yeah, in pass rush, man. And you know what? I gotta give my hat off to Khalil Mack. There was part of me that I was just like, you know what? I'm starting to have feelings of Julius Peppers, where, all the supreme athletic talent, all the hoop and hype, whenever he does anything, oh man, he's so amazing. And I'm like, but honestly, he's not doing a whole bunch. But then Khalil Mack, which I hope he continues to do, reminded me that he doesn't just have that run around you potential or that overpower you potential, he has true pass rush ability to get low, rip, and lean around the hoop and get to the quarterback. And I want him to do that more. I want him to just go straight up and lean around the corner. Now, there's going to be some fast guys where you're going to have to set them up outside and then go back inside, or you're going to have to power them. But for the most part, just rip and lean, dude. That's the quickest way to the quarterback than all this other stuff you're trying to do. So, of course, the first sack, they didn't even block the man. So, okay, easy. But that other sack he got where because he was getting hemmed up by Morgan Moses at points. And some people say it's holding. It's not holding when you face to face in the frame. It's holding when they try to move away from you and you still holding on to him. Then it's holding. But face to face within his frame, you can grab people like that. So he was getting hemmed up. But then he finally, instead of trying to go mano a mano, went to the rip and lean. And that's where true pass rushers are born. So I'm excited about that. But again, outside of that, man, we had to manufacture pressure and we had to rely on coverage. And I still think it's going to be an issue at some point in this season. Clinton Dix. Look, that first interception, come on. I mean, we all Bears fans here. That was a gimme. He threw it right to him. I don't want to hear all this Amos stuff. He threw that crap right to him. Nice return, but he threw it right to him. And I'm happy because we helped the Bears. The second pick, I'm not so much impressed with his skills because it was underthrown again, kind of right to him. But what I am excited about is something that I said before the season started, and that's the fact that you no longer are going to have Eddie Jackson sitting center field every time, which, some people might want that, but what it does is the offenses don't know who's going to be where. And so the fact that we can have play center field interchangeably with Eddie Jackson does allow us to be a little more creative. And as I said, that's the plus that we're going to get with Clinton Dix over Amos. And the run game hasn't really, or the run defense hasn't suffered a lot because of what I said earlier. So that part was exciting to see. And then later in the game, it was, I don't know, man. I have to think about it some more, but there's some stuff I didn't like. I mean, we pulled the whole D-line after the third quarter or after the halftime. Then they started moving the ball. Then we want to put them back in. Then Hicks got hurt. And so it's just like, I don't know how I felt about that mentality right there. Yes, we were up scores, but don't just pack it in. We saw the Redskins come back. And really, if Keenum wasn't such a shoot himself in the foot type quarterback, that could have been a real game, especially if that was like an Alex Smith and we just kind of let him back in. So I have feelings about our mindset as a team. I think after last year, we come in like we have that respect and we have that entitlement, but we don't. The truth is, it's a new year. We got to earn it. And the NFC North is doing well. So we got to shape up, in my opinion. I'm glad we got the win. Of course, but there's some stuff to clean up. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you thought about everything. Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. Check out the Patreon. Remember, stay up and bear down.